What you know you can't explain. But you feel it. You felt it your entire life. That there's something wrong. You don't know what it is, but it's there. Like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad. Experience the awakening. Brilliant anonymous researchers. Patriots, join us in the Patriot Army. Trust the plan, pain coming. Boom, boom, boom. Let's go. RedStateTalkRadio.com, Brighteon.tv, Rumble.com/MG Show. The end won't be for everyone. That choice to know will be yours. Where we go one, we go all. Fight, 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 and fight we will. We fight every day right here on the MG Show. Wow, guys. Welcome to the MG Show, where we actually kind of took a couple of days off. Shady Groove, welcome to the show.
Enjoyed my couple of days off. How about you, sir?
Oh, yes. I really enjoyed my couple of days off, and it was great to have those, that downtime, if you will.
Well, you know what? Whenever you're winning so much, it's like almost like compression. You know what I'm saying? Like you get compressed because like the winning, you're trying to pack all the winning in every single 24-hour period. There's almost not enough hours to continue to win so much. And so you've only got 24 to pack in all the winning. And so at some point you got to decompress. You got to expand yourself out. You're like, wow, boy, we said it for 6 months and we've just been winning our tails off and people just can't stop talking about things that really kind of don't matter.
Wow. It's really crazy. And we will address the Epstein psyop today right here on the MG Show through, C Page made a good post about it. We'll go over that. We'll go over the Q drops and talk about what is actually happening here. Remember, this could be a huge development, guys. However, the FBI may not have eyes on it because if it's foreign countries and foreign entities and, Epstein's a puppet. Okay, Epstein is a puppet, and that is a Q post, guys, and we will go over that. We'll talk about that because we do have to think logically here. Also, we know that we're going to see, 60-40, something to that effect, Shady Group, 60-40, 40% we won't see, and then moves and counter moves. So they make a move, they make people do drastic things, and then they make counter moves, guys. And, this is what we're watching. We have to put our logic hat on, okay? And we will go over that in further depth. Shady, but we got Donald J. Trump in a cabinet meeting.
I know we do have Donald J. Trump in a cabinet meeting. We've got to get to that immediately. And I would like to say what you were describing there is perfectly said. And let's also think about the idea that didn't we see that the FBI were doing just the craziest things, like paying millions of dollars for a Steele dossier and all these other nutty things that the FBI did, almost like the FBI weren't the ones in the room that were in charge. Anybody remember that? So why would they store all the evidence with the FBI?
That's right. And press C if you're cozy, guys. And we're going to go over that a little bit later, but we've got to join my president, your president, Donald J. Trump. And we're also going to talk about Elon Musk's temper tantrums, guys. I mean, this guy is an absolute freak. He's a nut. This third party thing is ridiculous, guys. It's absolutely ridiculous. Script is saying everybody on Instagram is turned on Trump. That is what this is all devised to do.
Yep.
Hold the line.
That's right. That's the reason that they've been setting this up for the last 3 or 4 months. Okay, like consistently setting this all up.
Yep.
We spent years fighting for Donald Trump. We are going to continue fighting for Donald Trump. But before we join Trump's cabinet meeting, I have to make an announcement, Jeff. Can I have like 1 minute?
I suppose. Because what are the odds of what you're about to say, Shady Grove?
Listen here. Now, I've been doing this for 7 years, and I've been broadcasting to you guys, and it has never happened until yesterday. And I just wanted to share the story with you guys. I pulled over yesterday to stop on my way home to pick up a garden hose because the garden hose busted a leak. It blew a gasket, Jeff, last week. So I got to go get another garden hose. I pull into the hardware store. I'm walking in, and lo and behold, a beautiful young lady looks over at me and gives me the side eye. And I'm like,
Uh-oh.
why did she just give me the side eye whenever I walked in here? And then she like looked at me and I made eye contact with her and she says, I know you. And I said, you know me? And she said, yes, you're Shady Groove from the MG show. And I'm like, well, hallelujah. It did happen. I was recognized in public. I've been so jealous of my partner in justice for constantly getting recognized in Florida. I'm not here in Oregon. Everybody out here in Oregon is very consumed with left-leaning politics, if you will. So
what are the odds, Shady Grove? It was like a Lowe's. Well, like everybody knows what a Lowe's is, but it's an Oregonian Lowe's. And what are the odds that you actually stopped in, you took a weekend, stopped in to get a garden hose, and somebody recognized you in Oregon, deep behind enemy lines?
They did, and not only that, they were like willing to like come up and talk to me, and they were like talking about the show and all of you guys, and they've been with us for over 6 years watching this program. And Cozy, you said type in C for Cozy. I'm talking Cozy, man. The people out there that are paying attention to being able to logically use your brain and understand what's going on in society and not get like throwing every deck chair off into the ocean type mentality. It's amazing to see. It's amazing to see. God bless you. I will. I'm not going to say her name because I'm not sure if I can say her name, but God bless you. And what an amazing end to my vacation. And I talked to her too.
I talked to her and she's like,
hey, eggs. she knew about eggs.
It was so cute.
And so now I'm so thank you. So I also have to say thank you to Jeff because initially, Jeff was mad at me because I wanted Monday. I was like, man, I could really make that, I could get out there a little bit further if I had Monday off. He's like, Shady, we got to work. I'm like, Jeff, I need to decompress. He's like, well, you have been winning a lot, Shady. And I was like, thank you so much. That was very gracious of you, and our counseling is actually working. Thank you. And so he gave me enough latitude where I took yesterday off. And so I hope you guys had a great 4th of July weekend. That was an absolute hoot.
That's right. And we want to say hello to Betty M out there. Where are you? Grand Rivers, you're watching today, and you do not miss a show. We love you. Thank you so much. 85 years young. My God. God bless you, and God bless you, all of you. And Shady, I'm glad we took an extra day off. I kind of needed it.
Okay, good. I'm so glad. I thought I was going to come back and you were going to be like extra ornery and I was going to have to but no, all is well.
Yep, all is well that ends well, my friend.
Yes, sir.
All right, so let's go to, we're going to start it here. President Donald J. Trump and the cabinet meeting. This is where we get our information. We don't get our information from influencers that are talking nasty about Donald Trump's cabinet. This is Donald Trump's cabinet. And the people talking nasty about it are not in Donald Trump's cabinet. Capiche?
I think that's an excellent assessment, sir.
I mean, it's common sense, isn't it?
It really is.
Here we go.
All right.
Down, you have some room already. Come down if you want. Leave the cameras there. But if you want, there's a lot of room over here. See an engine move out to the end. Way out to the left. To the left. To the left. Are you able to get them all in the room? Are they in?
Yes, sir, they're in.
Are you okay? Thank you very much. We've had a tremendous 6 months, and we've had a tremendous 2 weeks, which now is, I guess, 3 weeks. And we have a tremendous group of people here that have done a great, unified, beautiful job. I want in particular, because of what she's gone through this last few days, done an incredible job. As you know, Christy, I'm going to ask you to say a few words about Texas. The first person there was first person I saw on television was you, actually. And you've worked great with the governor, who's terrific. And you might want to tell a little bit about the trials and tribulations, but we appreciate the job that you and everybody have done. You had people there as fast as anybody's ever seen. So really appreciate it. We all do. And maybe you could say a few words.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank you for your leadership. Texas is strong, and the people of Texas are incredibly strong. They've gone through something that is absolutely horrific, and it is heartbreaking to watch these families suffer the way that they are. As soon as this flash flooding event happened, the governor has activated his emergency responders. Nim Kidd is his emergency management director, who is incredible, and has immediately worked with the local first responders to get help to individuals and get them evacuated, put requests into me. We deployed, sir, right away, as you know, because you and I were talking a lot during this time, the Coast Guard. We also had some assets out of Customs and Border Protection. Our board TAC teams went in and helped with rescues and clearing debris so that we could get roads open and people get the help that they need. I think when I got there the most, sir, that day, as soon as I arrived on site, was getting a briefing from all the emergency responders, was just how unified they were in focusing on the fact that we're there to save lives. They were there to rescue people, find people who were still alive, and to reunify them with their family members. We as a federal government don't manage these disasters. The state does. We come in and support them, and that's exactly what we did here in this situation. FEMA went to an enhanced level immediately, but as soon as you signed the major disaster declaration, we were able to get them resources and dollars right away, just like you envisioned, through state block grants to help them with cleanup. And we're still there in presence, and FEMA's been deployed, and we're cutting through the paperwork of the old FEMA, streamlining it much like your vision of how FEMA should operate, and it's been a much better response to help these families get through this terrible situation. We still are looking for people. We're still looking for a lot of little girls and other family members that were camping along that river, and they will continue until they find every single person, and we will continue to help them and assist in that. I was surprised when I got there at the camp that day, right after this happened, the parents that were there, the parents that were looking for their children and picking up their daughter's stuffed animals out of the mud and finding their daughter's shoe that might be laying in the cabin, and just hugging and comforting people matters a lot. I'm extremely grateful for God's hand in that whole situation, because hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people were saved. And this is a time for all of us in this country to remember that we were created to serve each other. God created us to take care of each other. And that when we do that, we are happier, we are more fulfilled, and we can walk alongside people on their worst day and help them get through it and come out the other side, knowing that we can continue to live a life that God has purposed for us. So they're grateful for you. Several times the day after the flooding, you and Melania were on the phone with me, and I want to thank you for that. That meant the world. I was able to tell many of those folks that I had been visiting with you, and that you had said, whatever they need, Christy, let's deploy it and get it down there and be helpful. And on Sunday, when the families were waiting at a church to identify their children's bodies, Franklin Graham and I called in and prayed with the families and read some scripture with them, and he was incredible in making himself available to that as well. We'll be back down there in a couple of days and continue to do all we can, but this is an unprecedented event. It really is. There's been tragedies like this around the country, but everyone is unique in different situations. And the response the federal government had supporting the state through this, I'm proud of the people that stepped up and immediately came. The Coast Guard, when they came in, they had a difficult time even getting the aircraft in and landed. They had to try several times in the weather to get it in and deploy. And I think we've heard about, our one Coast Guard member that was responsible for saving over 165 people, but that entire crew did incredible work. And all the first responders there did incredible work. And I know people are getting tired now, but they're getting reinforcements and volunteers are showing up. And I just want to commend the governor and his team for being the leaders. And they're so thankful that you're letting them make the decisions and manage the response like it should be. And then us supporting them with the resources of the federal government. We've already deployed dollars to the state, much like the block grants that you've talked about. Right. So very grateful for that, sir.
There's never been a wave like this outside of the breaking of a dam. This was almost a wave that ended up being 30 feet high, more actually. Now with the dam you can understand it, but this approached almost with that speed. When you see a dam break, it's not a pretty sight. It wipes out everything, and this is the kind of thing that built up so fast. And it's happened 2 or 3 times before over the years, but not to this extent. But tell them when you met the father who was picking up the daughter's clothing. And
I had walked through the cabin where all the little girls died, and I had kind of fallen apart in there, but I walked out of the cabin and a gentleman was standing there and he said, that man over there needs a hug. And so I walked over to him and I hugged him and I said, do you work here? And he said, no, my little girl was in that cabin. And he said, and I just found her best friend about an hour and a half ago. She had passed away. And he just fell apart. And so then we just hugged and talked for probably an hour about that. But then there was another, the grandpa was there looking for his granddaughter as well. There was a dad there of one of the counselors. The counselor was alive, but she was dealing with the fact that she had hung on to some of these girls and was trying to keep them out of the floodwaters and had gotten hit by something and had lost 2 of the girls and wasn't able to hang on to them and was going to live the rest of her life thinking about that moment when she wasn't able to hang on to these girls. But these parents were picking up their kids' belongings out of the mud and throughout the camp and putting them in bags. And then one of the dads said, I knew 50 of these girls here. So I knew that was her dress and my daughter's friend's dress. So he was picking it up and putting it in a bag to return to her parents. And so it was and then the director was there comforting everybody who had lost his father the night before too. And he was still there trying to facilitate all of these parents grieving their children and find them. So the strength of people is incredible. One of the things that I asked there that day was that they all have escorts or counselors when parents come in. So from that point, that when they came into the camp, that they have somebody with them when they're going and looking for their children's belongings or looking for their children. And so very emotional, but also just so tragic.
The relationship with Texas and the governor has been obviously very good for years with me, but the relationship with Texas and their first responders and us with our first responders and lots of other people, and we brought in a lot of helicopters from all over. We had a lot of helicopters. It was actually dangerous, a lot of helicopters up there, but they were real pros and they were responsible for pulling out a lot of people. And we got them there fast, and Texas had some good ones too, but the response has been incredible, and the fact that we got along so well, I don't know. I don't even think that's a political thing, but we got along so well, and it was so unified. I think a lot of lives have been saved. That could have been as bad as it was, and you could have lost double or triple. This thing was just really horrible. Well, congratulations on a great job, and appreciate it. I know you're going down. I'll be going down on Friday with First Lady. We'll be taking a trip, and we don't want to get in anyone's way because that's what happens. The president goes and everyone's around focused on. I don't want anyone to focus on us, but it's possible they could have somebody saved still. There's a lot of areas. It's a big area, and probably unlikely at this point, but there could be. They're thinking there could be possibility, but what a tragic situation. A good job, and we'll see you on Friday, and we'll finish out the day here. I think you've been reading a lot about, it's a terrible topic when you talk about financial after this, but we have a big country and we've been doing very well. The tariffs, as you know, are starting to come in at record levels. Tremendous amounts of money are coming in to our country. We never did that before. We're not used to it. We only have tariffs going out. We only adhered to the rules of other nations who charge us tremendous tariffs because we were led by stupid people or people without any business sense. And I'd like to ask Scott, you could maybe talk a little bit about how well we're doing with regard to the money coming in. And the big money will start coming in on August 1st. I think it was made clear today by the letters that were sent out yesterday and today. Go ahead, please.
Yes, sir. We will have taken in about $100 billion in tariff income thus far this year, and that's with the tariffs, the major tariffs not having started till the second quarter. So we could expect that could be well over $300 billion by the end of the year. We don't agree with CBO scoring, but for those who do, the CBO scored tariff income over the next 10 years at 2.8 trillion, which we think is probably low. And sir, under your leadership, we're
And
witnessing.
they gave us no credit during this last little, the great, big, beautiful bill. I always use the word great. I add that to it because it really is what it is. It's never been anything like it, actually. And I want to thank all the Republicans that voted for it. And I want to, scold the Democrats because they're voting for tax cuts. They're voting for no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime, and many, many other things far more important than that. Great health care. And frankly, every Democrat should lose their election because it was purely political to vote. They were told not to vote for it. So think of it. We got 218 to 2. And then with the Senate, we had 50 to 3. Democrats didn't vote at all, not one positive vote, with all of the good things in there. Economic development money, tremendous border money. Now you're loaded up on the border. And I don't think we're going to need so much of it because we had zero come in last month, so I'm not sure how much of it we want to spend. You may think about that. You may actually think about saving a lot of money because the wall's been largely built and it obviously worked, but you may want to think about that. But so I think it's incredible when I watch the Democrats and they have standard lines like they had Russia, Russia, Russia. They had the laptop from hell. It all came from Russia. They make things up and they go with it and they feed it to you people in many cases. And they said, here's our line. And I hear the new line is death. Oh, it's death. Everyone's going to die. It's nothing to do with death. In fact, we're saving our country. Death is from allowing 25 million people into our country, of which 3 or 4 are stone cold, hard criminals. 11,888 are murderers, many of them committing more than one murder. That's death, and the Democrats did that. Joe Biden did that by allowing people to come in here, just totally unchecked, unvetted, open borders, open borders. The whole world was dumped into our country from prisons, from gangs, from mental institutions. We have many people walking the streets, walking in areas that we don't know anything about that came out of insane asylums. They released the insane asylum population into our country. And it's amazing the job that you and Tom Homan are doing, by the way, on that. But we have to get them out. We have no choice. We have to get them out. And we are getting them out. And so, Pete, you want to tell them about our great military and how well we did with respect to the bombers and the B-2? We had the pilots here 2 days ago, and they were incredible people. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Truly a historic mission and demonstrated the skill and courage of the United States military. From those B-2 pilots and families that we had a chance to meet, sir, to the fighter pilots, to the refuelers, to the maintainers, to the air defenders who defended the base. What was demonstrated on the world stage was American military might and capability. And it wasn't just Fordo and Esfahan and Natanz that took notice in Iran. It was the rest of the world. That we have a decisive commander-in-chief willing to use these capabilities, which are the best in the world. As the president pointed out, no one else could have done what America did there on that night. And everyone took notice of that. With the one big beautiful bill, sir, we've got 150 billion additional to invest in Golden Dome and all the other weapon systems and stockpiles and shipbuilding priorities of yours. Another month, another historic recruiting bump. It's not just the Army and the Marine Corps anymore. It's the Navy, the Air Force, and the Space Force, all historically ahead of where they've ever been. So historic spirit inside the military. We had a chance to be at NATO, Marco and I, and see how the world responds to us saying it's time for you to shoulder the burden and take the lead for your continent. It only happens with President Trump leading. And we're proud to be a part of what's going on at the border, sir, with now a fourth national defense area where we're helping get to that number 0 and securing the border. But that mission, Operation Midnight Hammer, re-established deterrence. It reversed what happened in Afghanistan. You saw the debacle of what Biden allowed to happen in Afghanistan and what that did to our image. President Trump said, with Operation Midnight Hammer, we're reestablishing American leadership and deterrence, and we're proud to be a part of it, sir.
And our so-called enemies were watching. They watched every minute of it. They watched. There was very few people that weren't watching, actually. But they watched every minute. It was a perfect military performance, the likes of which we haven't seen in a long time. I mean, if you compare that to the same country, the hostages from years ago, Jimmy Carter, it was unfortunate for Jimmy Carter. He was a nice man, but with the helicopters going down, the sandstorms, the prisoners, they get captured, then the election and prisoners and Reagan and all the problems. It was nothing but problems. And that was a failure. And ours was not only the pilots. I mean, those machines flew for 37 straight hours. They didn't stop. They went skedaddle. You know the word skedaddle? It means skedaddle. They dropped the bombs, and somebody said, skedaddle. Let's get the hell out of here. And every bomb hit its mark and hit it incredibly. And as you know, the Atomic Energy Commission said it's gone. That place is gone. We had a lot of fake reporting, mostly from CNN, where a scammer a writer for CNN, who should be fired, by the way, she was involved with the 51 fake intelligence agents, if you remember that. She did that story, created a story out of it. She created a story out of the laptop from hell, saying it came from Russia, but it actually came from Hunter Biden's bedroom or worse. Just a scammer, and she's still at CNN, which is pretty amazing. But we'll ask you a question about her. But they came up with this concept that maybe the attack wasn't that good. And I saw it happen right after the attack. I saw this person on CNN. I actually watch. I like to watch the enemy. You learn from the enemy. And I watch because you have to know where they're coming from. And I watched her say, Anderson, I'm hearing stories that maybe they didn't hit their target. Maybe it wasn't that good a hit. And they were hearing stories. The next day it was a little more, and the next day a little more. After 3-4 days, she was saying, I don't know. I don't think it was that. Except by that time, everybody knew it was hit perfectly. The evidence is in the planes. The pilots are the best evidence. But they actually came out of their plane because they were here the other day, and they said, it was so sad. We did such a good job. We flew into very dangerous airspace. I'll never forget, we were in the Situation Room, and they said they have entered Iranian airspace, and everyone took a deep breath because they had more missiles pointed at them, but the equipment is so good, it's stealth, way up in the air, and it was stealth, and they went right through that, and they sort of, by the time they found out they were there, they were already gone. That was the word skedaddle, get the hell out of here. But they were right in the most dangerous airspace in the world, and they took those big, beautiful, very fast, they're unbelievable planes. I mean, they become really beautiful works of art. I always thought they sort of were cool, but now they look better than just cool, don't they, huh? But they dropped the loads, and literally they would hit, if you look at this table, from here to there, they had a half a refrigerator door is the way to best explain it. Take a refrigerator door, average size, cut it in half. That was their target. They hit every single one. Then we had 30 missiles, Tomahawk, shot from submarines 300 miles away. Every one of them hit their target. It was a perfect mission. Then they came back, almost 37 hours. Every plane worked perfectly. The mechanics were here too. I said, you got to get the mechanics here. We didn't have any problems. If you remember, they had a lot of problems with the helicopters, but they did fly through a dust storm, which they shouldn't have done. Sometimes you say, let's go back and try it on a nicer day. Dust and sand don't work well with helicopters if you know much about helicopters. But that was a horrible embarrassment to us. Then we had Afghanistan, which I think was the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. And we would have gotten out. I was the one that got them down. I would have kept Bagram, the big air base, which right now is controlled by China, one among the most powerful runways in the world, thick with concrete and steel. Anything could land. And right now, they were 1 hour away from where China makes its nuclear weapons. I was keeping it. Outside of that, we were leaving, and I would have been out faster than them, but we would have gotten out with strength and dignity. Instead, that was the most botched up mess I've ever seen. They left all that equipment behind. And every year they have a parade running down some third-rate street with the equipment. You know, it's supposed to be Fifth Avenue. It doesn't work. But with all that equipment that they left, they should have taken every ounce of it. I was taking every ounce. I said every screw, every bolt, every nail you take out of there. And Millie said, I remember one time, sir, we're better off leaving the equipment. Why? Well, it's cheaper. I said, cheaper? You mean it's cheaper to leave a $150 million airplane rather than flying into Pakistan or India or someplace, or just flying it straight home is cheap? Yes, sir. That's when I knew he was an idiot. Didn't take long to figure that one out. But they left all that equipment, but they left their dignity behind. It was the most embarrassing moment, in my opinion, in the history of our country. Not that we got out, we should have not been there, but that we got out the way we got out with great embarrassment and death. You had 13 young people. I've gotten to know their families very well, but you had hundreds of people killed that nobody talks about. Yet the other side, many people were killed. Many people are walking around with no legs, no arms from that whole thing. They left from the wrong airport. They should have left from Bagram, because Bagram was a big base with hundreds of miles of fencing and territory around it. Nobody would be able to get near it. And they left. So, we've done a great job. And I think people are really starting to see it. They're starting to appreciate it. Pete's done fantastically. That mission was a work of art. And I have spoken to some of our perceived, I don't know if they're enemies, but they're perceived as being potential enemies. And they essentially said the same thing. Very impressive. There wasn't a thing that we didn't lose an engine. We didn't lose it. They landed and they were cheered. But the sad thing was they were cheered. And one of the pilots said, we were a little concerned because when we got out, we were told that on television they were reporting that we may have missed our targets. Sir, we hit every target. That's what I do for a living. We hit every target. In fact, when the bombs hit, a yellow haze came over the horizon that I've never seen before. It just lit up the whole horizon, brighter than the sun. It was like looking into the sun. He goes, we hit our target, because you know what that was exploding. And but they were a little downbeat because they listened to that fake CNN reporting and the fake New York Times. They worked together to try and say that it wasn't perfect. They couldn't say what they missed. All they could say is, maybe it wasn't perfect. And you ought to fire that reporter immediately. You should fire her. Real fake. And so I just want to congratulate those pilots. And, a lot of people don't like bringing things like that up. I do. I always like confronting, because otherwise the public doesn't know that you're a bunch of crooked people. But they know, they've learned, and the media has to straighten out their act. The media is down to 17% approval. You got to do a little better than that. It's important for the country that you do better. I think they ought to make a lot of changes. I think changes are going to be made to the media, but it's hard to have a really successful country if you have a corrupt media, and we really have a corrupt media. And nobody really knows why. I mean, why would you want to have open borders and criminals pouring into our country? Why would you want to have men playing in women's sports, transgender for everyone? You'll have to figure that out. But some of you don't. I mean, I'm looking at some people, they love the country, but I look at other people and they can't. But we were really proud of our military. It was, and the people that maybe don't like us or want to play games with us, because I think that had you not had the situation in Afghanistan, I don't think Putin would have gone in. I think when Putin looked at how stupid and incompetent that operation was, he said, wow, this might be a chance. And we're dealing with him now too. We're not happy with Putin. I'm not happy with Putin. I can tell you that much right now, because he's killing a lot of people. And a lot of them are his soldiers and their soldiers, mostly. And it's now up to 7,000 a week. And I'm not happy with Putin. Okay, any questions? Yes.
Yes, sir. You just said that you're not happy with Vladimir Putin. Is there anything that you plan to do to act on that feeling of
Well, I wouldn't be
unhappiness?
telling you. Don't we want to have a little surprise? You know, one of the things we did with the attack is that, and you asked that question, I didn't mean to be rude, but I'm in a rude because I'm looking at some of these crooked people up here. So I'm rude, but your question was asked very nicely. But one of the things we did is we went over every fact. We wanted to get every fact straight. We wanted to have the distance straight, the number of pilots straight. Everything had to be correct, because this was a very important mission. If we failed on this mission, it was beyond the war that, obviously we had with Iran and Israel. A lot of hatred, a lot of years and years of hatred, centuries of hatred. People have never seen anything like it. So we wanted to be correct with all our facts. So, what I was doing is just asking, it would be great if the media would be correct with their facts. That's all we ask for. So, hey, go ahead. So finish it up.
Oh, yes. Just returning back to Russia, if there's anything that you would signal about your displeasure with them.
Well, look, I'm very unhappy with them. There's no reason for this. It's turned out to be tougher, but it's only tougher. And I will say the Ukrainians were brave, but we gave them the best equipment ever made. We gave them the anti-tank busters that knocked out tanks. I mean, you just aim them in the direction of the tank and the tank is gone. We gave them missiles, the latest and the greatest. They were able to shoot down a lot of things that would have normally wiped out. Probably would have been a very quick war. It would have been a war that lasted 3-4 days, but they had the benefit of unbelievable equipment. And Europe gave them to. We gave them far more because Biden shouldn't have done that. He should have equalized. And we should have given him the same, or we should have given actually less than Europe. It affects Europe much more than us, but we're in there for over $300 billion. Europe's in there for over 100 billion, but still, Europe gave a lot. And I will say this, the Ukrainians, whether you think it's unfair that we gave all that money or not, they were very brave because somebody had to operate that stuff. And a lot of people I know wouldn't be operating it. They wouldn't have the courage to do it. So they fought very bravely, but we gave them the best equipment in the world. We make the best military equipment by far. There's nobody close. You look at other equipment from other countries, it's not even close. That's why everybody wants to buy our equipment. And that's why we're going to step up these contractors now that make it, and they're brilliant, but they make it too slowly. And we have to step them up, Pete, and let them make it at a much higher rate. Unfortunately, we have to do that. But if you look at our Patriots, if you look at our Tomahawks, if you look at our, what we do with tanks is, you wouldn't want to be driving a tank. You would feel nice and secure, but they are javelins, they're called. And I gave them the javelins. Remember, they said Trump gave the javelins and Obama gave them sheets, right? They called Obama at that time. Barack Hussein Obama, if you haven't heard, did a terrible job. But that was a war that should have never happened, and a lot of people are dying, and it should end. And I don't know, we get a lot of bullshit thrown at us by Putin, for you want to know the truth. It's very nice all the time, but it turns out to be meaningless.
Do you want to sanction him? Lindsey Graham has a sanctions bill on Russia. Do you want him to?
I'm looking at it, yeah, no, I'm looking. The Senate is passed a very, very tough sanctions bill. Yeah, I'm looking at
Can
it.
you sign that?
It's an optional bill. It's totally at my option. They pass it totally at my option, and to terminate totally at my option. And I'm looking at it very strongly.
Yesterday, you said
The Council of Economic Advisors released a new report saying that imported goods have actually decreased in price from December.
I know, it's better.
Well, my question is,
With the tariffs.
Well, the Fed chairman keeps saying that tariffs are going to cause price increases.
Are we
the prices just not
Chairman
passed
of the
through?
Fed?
Yes, exactly.
You do a better job than him.
Thank you. Are the prices just not passed through yet?
No, I think what's happening is everything's evening out. You know, when we charge, see, what people don't understand, the other countries have been charged, almost every country charges us tariffs. We had deficits with everybody for years, for decades. And we were like this big monolith that made bad deals with everybody. We rebuilt South Korea, we stayed there. It's okay, we rebuilt it and we stayed there. And they pay us very little for the military. I got them to pay billions of dollars, and Biden then canceled it when he came in. I sent to South Korea as an example. We give you free military, essentially, very little. And I think you should pay us $10 billion a year. And they went crazy. But they agreed to 3. So I got 3 with a phone call. And I was satisfied. I said, but next year we have to talk. And then we had a rigged election, and we never got to talk. And you know what Biden did? They probably went to him and they said, listen, Trump treated us terribly and we shouldn't be paying anything. And he cut it down to nothing. So that's what happens. It's ridiculous. That's the other thing. We're talking to countries about contributing to the military, not only just paying more in NATO, but contributing. We have 45,000 soldiers in South Korea. We have 45,000 soldiers in Germany, 52,000 actually. And that's a huge economic development for them. That's tremendous amount, just like having a city. It's tremendous money for them, and it's a tremendous loss for us. So we're talking, in a very nice way, we're talking to them about it. It's very unfair. We supply the militaries to many very successful countries. I mean, South Korea is making a lot of money, and they're very good. They're very good, but, they should be paying for their own military.
President Trump, I ask you a question about Jerome Powell as well, and a question to the Attorney General. Jerome Powell, and then I have a question for the Attorney General. Jerome Powell, who you've been pressuring to lower interest rates, he's facing accusations of lying to Congress, which is a potential crime.
Well, then he should resign immediately. We should get somebody in there that's going to lower interest rates.
Do you want congressional
Why don't you call for his resignation?
Do you want congressional Republicans to investigate?
It's okay with me. I think he's terrible. I think, look, we're paying, I call him too late. TOO, too late, like Too Tall Jones for the Dallas Cowboys, right? Too late. He's always late. But he wasn't late with Biden before the election. He was cutting him like crazy. It didn't help too much, did it? But he was cutting him like crazy before the election with Kamala and Biden. He was trying to get them in, I guess. I don't know. He was recommended by somebody that worked for me. I like you better.
If I can ask the Attorney General a question too.
Sure.
And your memo and release yesterday with Jeffrey Epstein, it left some lingering mysteries. One of the biggest ones is whether he ever worked for an American or foreign intelligence agency. The former Labor Secretary, who was Miami U.S. Attorney Alex Costa, he allegedly said that he did work for an intelligence agency. So could you resolve whether or not he did? And also, could you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape?
Yeah, sure. If I could.
Could I just interrupt for
Sure.
1 second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy.
That's an interesting
What
reaction.
happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
Sure. First, to back up on that, in February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I said, I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that. Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child porn is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day. To him being an agent, I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that. And the minute missing from the video, we released the video showing definitively the video was not conclusive, but the Evidence prior to it was showing he committed suicide. And what was on that, there was a minute that was off the counter. And what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every night, they redo that video. It's old, from like 1999. So every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing. So we're looking for that video to release that as well, showing that a minute is missing every night. And that's it on Epstein.
Wow.
On tariffs again, on August 1st, you said is the deadline. What incentives do countries have to negotiate? It seems that deadline keeps moving. It was April 2nd, now it's...
We didn't move, no. It's always been August 1st, that's what we're paying. A statement was put out today, and I put it out just to make it clear. It wasn't a change, it was August 1st. We don't change very much, every time we put out a statement, they say, he made a change. I didn't make a change. Clarification, maybe. No, August 1st they pay. And everybody pays, everybody has to pay. And the incentive is that they have the right to deal in the United States. If they don't want to, they don't have to pay and they don't have to deal here. But if they want to buy and make a lot of money and sell in the United States, they have to do that. If you go back and look at some of the good presidents, our country was the wealthiest, proportionately the wealthiest, from 1870 to 1913. It was an all-tariff country. We didn't have income tax. That came due that came in.
Wait.
Whoa.
Shady, what show's been talking about this for since the Q Lounge Live and then the MG show for what, 7 years now, Shady? What show?
7 years. 7
Was
years.
that Devolution talking about that?
No. None of that talk is going on either, by the way.
Oh, all right. I'm just checking. So we're okay. Let's keep listening. And by the way, you heard what they're saying about the Epstein list and the Epstein clients and all the Epstein, not a suicide. We have to, when information is available, we have to, listen to it. I mean,
Oh, wait. You mean we don't just throw it out and say, oh, no. It's all of this conjecture and circumstantial stuff and things that we've talked about and bloviated about in front of it. No, that's the real evidence. The evidence that you're talking about, that's the real evidence. No, that's not the evidence. Us bloviating and talking about it, that's the real evidence.
Right. We just need to be commonsensical about this, Shady.
I'm telling you, man. Look at the way we've been able to navigate this.
Yeah.
I mean, how incredible is that, guys? How incredible is that? 17 in the chat. If you're appreciative of the way that this show, the MG show, has been able to navigate this, we didn't do that. We're not doing this for you. We're doing this with you. This is a project together. We're not sitting here saying that we have any types of super secret intel sources like all these other people. That's insane. We were actually following the reality that we know they don't have super secret inside sources, and we come out on top every single time.
Every single time. Why am I sounding like that?
Every time. Look at those 17s.
All right, and back to the roundtable cabinet meeting with
Flynn not there.
Exactly
great comment,
right,
DQ.
dude.
I saw DQ make that comment earlier. What a good comment.
my God.
Flynn's not there. Here we go.
1913, we had tariffs. And we had so much money, we didn't know what to do with it. We had, we had a couple of presidents that were very, very strong. McKinley, I guess, more than anybody, but he was the tariff king, but he was very, very strong. It's sort of sad. He made a fortune for this country, became very rich, and then Teddy Roosevelt went out and vice president, and he spent the money. And they said Roosevelt was a great president. And let's say he was a great president, but the money was paid by McKinley with tariffs. Tariffs are charged by other countries at levels that are ridiculous. And I call those other countries to say, and every one of them is willing to give us everything now, by the way, just so you know. Sir, we'll charge you no tariffs, nothing. We'll give you everything. We'll give you access to our markets. We'll give you everything. Is that a correct statement, Scott?
Yes, sir.
Howard, would you say that's a correct statement?
Exactly correct.
It's like they just don't, because they're very spoiled, because for years they ripped us off and we didn't have a president that understood it, or Secretary of Treasury or Secretary of a lot of different secretaries are involved. But certainly Commerce Secretary was, not doing their job. I don't know about Kelly, she's small business. We'll keep it that way, okay? Her small business is bigger than almost all big businesses when you add it all up. But no, they are very respectful of our country. But the incentive is that they have the right to do business with us. Without that, they don't have the right to do business. And that would be okay too.
Well, there's a flurry of deals.
Yeah, go ahead.
Here, in the next 24 hours, will we hear a flurry of deals?
Yeah, we have a lot of them going out, but the deals are mostly my deal to them. We're picking a number that's low. We don't want to hurt them, and fair. We're picking a number that's lower than, in most cases, lower than what they charged us. But it's amazing when you've paid all this money for years and they get one president that's a little bit different and a little tougher on this subject, and they're willing to drop everything they've been charging us for years and years. I mean, we have countries called, we will have no, you don't have to pay any tariff to come in and do business. They're giving us total access to their countries. They gave us no access to the country. They say, well, you cannot go into our country. Okay, good. Now it's, we will give you total access and you don't have to pay any tariffs. But please don't charge us tariffs. And we don't like that deal. So the letters I send out are, we have made some deals. We can make a lot more deals. It's just too time consuming. It just makes it more complicated. And we can do things over the years too. You know, we're not hard line, but it's about time the United States of America started collecting money from countries that were ripping us off and laughing behind our back at how stupid we were. Okay? Thank you.
Mr. President,
Yellow, in the yellow.
on the tariff issue, so you've talked about India coming, but then a couple days ago, you issued a new tariff threat to members of the BRICS countries for
Yeah.
if they aligned with anti-American policies.
10% charge.
That would be India, Brazil.
That's right, they have to pay 10% if they're in BRICS. Because BRICS was set up to hurt us. BRICS was set up to degenerate our dollar and take our dollar as the standard, take it off as the standard. And that's okay if they want to play that game, but I can play that game too. So anybody that's in BRICS is getting a 10% charge.
Is that immediate, sir, or is
Yeah,
that
pretty soon.
if they engage in some behavior?
Oh, if they're a member of BRICS, they're going to have to pay 10% tariff just for that one thing. And they won't be a member long. I thought BRICS was, you know, I said this about a year ago, and it largely broke up. But, you know, there are a couple that hang around, but I thought it largely broke up. BRICS is not, in my opinion, not a serious threat. But what they're trying to do is destroy the dollar so that another country can take over and be the standard. And we're not going to lose the standard at any time.
Pause it a second.
You have a smart president.
He's hitting something that's so important right there. It says what BRICS was doing was the same thing that you would probably associate with the European Union doing if you were paying attention to this stuff like 25 years ago. BRICS is essentially the same thing. They're not only just undermining the dollar, but undermining our value around the world. In other words, he's explaining it to you. We don't have access to these markets. If America had access to all of these markets around the world, we would trump all nations across the board. No one could compete with us. So the only way that they could get to where it looks like they compete with us is to slowly but methodically block us out from those markets. BRICS comes in to associate all these other countries to come together so that they could further weaken the dollar and rise BRICS. This is the whole dynamic that was being set up was for. Donald Trump is talking directly to your enemy here. You can talk about all these other different things that you want to, criminals, crime, all this street level stuff. You can talk about that. But this right here is big stuff, guys. This is this right here is guaranteeing that whenever we hit this is guaranteeing that America has a 500-year anniversary. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm hoping you guys understand that. 47 is making sure that America has a 500-year anniversary. The globalists were trying to make it to where America didn't even have a 250-year anniversary. And that should be clear by the rhetoric that was going on prior to Donald Trump taking office in 2016.
Exactly right. And we're going to show you what everybody see. They don't want you to understand economics, guys.
Correct.
They want you to be reading about this and reading about that. But you need to understand economics, and we're going to go over that after this. But this your president is smart, smarter than them.
by 10x at minimum.
Here we go.
You will never lose the standard. If you have a stupid president like the last one, you would lose the standard. You wouldn't have the dollar as you. And if we lost the world standard dollar, that would be like losing a war, a major world war. We would not be the same country any longer. We're not going to let that happen. The dollar You ever hear the expression, dollar is king? The dollar is king. We're going to keep it that way, okay? And I'm just saying, if people want to challenge it, they can, but they're going to have to pay a big price. And I don't think any of them are willing to pay that price.
Thank you, Mr. President. Are you optimistic about reaching the Paris deal with the European Union soon?
Well, the European Union has been speaking to us, Ursula and the whole group, and they've been very nice. They treated us very badly until recently. Now they're treating us very nicely. It's like a different world, actually. They've treated us very badly. They were among the toughest to deal with. Actually, in many respects, they were much worse than China. Look at what they do to our companies. They sue Apple, they sue Google. 17 billion they got from Apple on a lawsuit that they didn't have a case. They have, judges that are European Union judges. And they ruled, they take so much money away from our country in terms of that, in terms of other things that they do. They're very tough, but now they're being very nice to us, and we'll see what happens. We're probably 2 days off from sending them a letter. We are talking to them. I just want you to know, a letter means a deal. A lot of people said, we got 200 countries. We can't meet with 200 countries. We have a few trusted people that know what they're doing, that are doing a good job, but you can't do it. You have to do it in a more general way, but it's a very good way. It's a better way. It's a more powerful way. And we sent them a letter. You read the letter. I think it was well crafted. And mostly it's just a little number in there. You'll pay 25%, 35%. We have some at 60, 70. Those are ones with massive, where we have massive trade deficits because they've treated us very badly. But I would say in every case, I'm treating them better than they treated us over the years. Don't you agree with that? I could have done much. I could have been much harsher. I don't want to do that. We want to have relationships, but in every case, they treated us far worse than I'm treating them. I'm treating them very good. I could go higher with the tariffs, but I don't want to hurt them. That's why when you just read it, you come up with the number. It's so incredible that prices are actually going down. Just so you know, when I got in, everyone said, "Oh, eggs are going through the roof." That was I was in for about 4 days,
What?
and they started screaming at me about eggs. I said, "That's Biden's problem." I didn't know about eggs, but eggs went up about 5 times. You did a fantastic job, and we ended up shortly getting. In fact, for Easter, they said go out and buy plastic eggs. You can't use real eggs. Well, we bought 200,000 eggs for the White House for the Easter egg hunt that we have at the White House, and there were eggs. We had the price down, and now the price is lower than it was before. We did a good job with eggs, but we did a good job with groceries. Our prices are down in this country. Well, a big part of it's oil. The oil, you had a couple of places last week, you had $1.99 for oil, for gasoline. Nobody thought they'd see that. I want to get it lower if I can, but we've done a good job. You've done a very good job. Do you want to say a couple of words about that, you and Chris, about what's happening with energy?
Well, absolutely, but I would say on the pricing side, President Trump, the fact that you've endorsed and supported a policy of energy dominance, that sends a signal to the market that we're going to have more supply. You talked during the campaign about inflation being a country buster. You've broken the back of inflation in 6 months, among all the other things you've accomplished.
We have no inflation.
And we've got, and then heading into the 4th of July, these were the lowest gas prices at the pump in 4 years. And again, for America,
Not on the West Coast.
This is like hundreds of billions of dollars that stay in their pockets because we lower the price of gas at the pump. But when we lower the price of energy, it lowers the price of food. It lowers the price of the clothes you wear.
It's the biggest thing.
It's the biggest thing.
It's like a big tax cut. When you get energy down, every 50 cents is like a massive tax cut, and we've gotten it down much below that. We had great energy, great low prices, everything else. When the election turned over, I'm trying to be nice about it. It turned over, shockingly, but nevertheless, it happened. Energy started going up, and it went up really bad, and then he went back to the Trump policy. The problem was they didn't know how to do that, and he lost it. He lost that sucker. That big sucker was out of control, and his energy prices went way up, and that's what caused it. But it was also stupid spending. They spent money like, they used to use the term drunken sailors, but I won't use that term. Although it is very descriptive, I won't use that term. I refuse to use it. but they spent money at levels that nobody had ever seen before. And trillions and trillions of dollars wasted on the Green New Scam, greatest scam in the history of our country, other than maybe Russia, that might have been. But the Green New Scam was the single greatest scam in the history of our country and continues to be, but it's weakened badly. It's hobbling along because people are finally getting it. But they spent trillions of dollars on the Green New Scam, getting nothing for it. Devised by a couple of young people that weren't even good college students, you know? Not even good students. Check out their marks.
Can you clear something up, Mr. President, on
No,
what you said last
not
week?
for CNN.
You said you
Not
wanted to
for
send
CNN. Go ahead.
The last jobs, in the last jobs report, Mr. President, in the last jobs report, the manufacturing jobs actually lost 7,000 jobs. When will the investments that you've been talking about have an effect?
Well, they're building the plants now. About 7 have started. We're going to have hundreds started within a short period of time. Lee Zeldin, who may be the most important man in this room, I'm sorry, but he's the one that gets the permits. Where is Lee? He's the one that has to get the permits for the plants and the factories, and permits that used to take 5 years, he's getting in record-setting times. AI, we're leading China a lot in AI, and if we go with this, I'm allowing the plants to build their own electric. I'm allowing them to become an electric utility, so they can produce their own electricity, because we need double to be successful with AI, which is the biggest thing now. We need double the electricity that we have, which is hard to believe. We need even more than that. And they're building plants with their own electricity substations. They don't have to use the grid. And anything they build extra, they're putting into the grid. So we're supplying the grid with brand new electric sources. And it's funny, when they came to see me, they never even asked for that. I told them about it. The reason they didn't, they thought that was an impossibility. You're not allowed to build your own electric. These are massive investments that are being made in building electricity for their plants. And they're going to have, I think, Doug, a lot of electricity left over. And that
Real
electricity
infrastructure.
passed into the grid and give us no more, like you look at California. They have blackouts and brownouts every week. They're totally out of control. They have a really incompetent governor. Where's Chris? Is he here? Do you want to speak to the subject?
Yeah, I think a huge thing in the One Big Beautiful Bill, Mr. President, because of your leadership, is the ending of these subsidies, as you call them, the Green New Scam. That saves our country $500 billion over the next 10 years. But American taxpayers were paying twice. They were paying that money, $500 billion in the subsidies, and they were paying more expensive electricity price. If you subsidize something, you should at least lower the cost of it. But in this case, we were subsidizing something and paying more for it. So the One Big Beautiful Bill had two huge things: ending wasteful spending. Wind, solar, and batteries combined are 3% of U.S. total primary energy. 3% for $1 trillion, another $500 billion coming. It's just not a good investment, hurting our businesses, hurting our consumers. And the One Big Beautiful Bill also unshackled oil, gas, and coal development in the United States, onshore and offshore. Secretary Burgum has been working tirelessly on how, by getting the government out of the way, private businesses will develop more resources in the United States, lowering costs for American consumers and making much better leverage for the United States to help our allies abroad and reduce the power of our adversaries abroad. So just a huge win on the energy front all around, and I thank you for your leadership.
We're setting records now on energy, and there'll be nothing compared to what they'll be in about a year from now. But we're setting records, and wind is a very expensive form of energy. It's very bad for your beautiful surroundings, the plains and the valleys, and the birds are dying all over the place. The whole thing is a disaster. They're almost exclusively made in China. Not that I have anything against China, because I don't have a great relationship with President Xi, but I asked him, how many wind farms do you have? He makes them, but they don't have a lot of wind farms, I'll tell you, very, very few. And wind is tremendously expensive and is very ugly. And if you own a house that's inside of a windmill, your house is worth less than half. And you hear noises. And interestingly, in New England, you probably read, where for 50 years they had 2 wells washed up, 50 years. And last summer, they had 14 washed up. Now, I'm not saying that's the wind farm that was built, but maybe it is, right? Probably is. It's tremendously expensive, and it can only be done with subsidy. I know a man that's in that business, and one of the biggest in the world actually runs a company that builds these stupid windmills. And he said, I hate the business because it's the only energy where you need subsidy. He said, energy shouldn't need subsidy. You should make money with energy. So when the other one is the solar, those big solar fields, they're taking our farmland. Our farmers are like mortified by it. They hate it. It's very, very inefficient and very ugly too. Probably better than a windmill, but you go around and you see all these things that are 3 miles long by 3 miles wide, and you say, what the hell is that? And it's a lot of plastic from China. It's plastic, black plastic from China. No, we want to be smart. We're going with, look, China right now is building 58 coal-fired plants, 58 big ones. They have 62 on the books to build. We've reintroduced clean, beautiful coal. Because you can do a lot with coal now, clean, beautiful coal, and natural gas, and all of the other things that we have. But we don't want wind, and we don't want solar, because they're a blight on our country. They hurt our country very badly, and smart countries don't use it. Solar sounds good, I will say, and I like, on occasion, you'll see a roof which is made out of solar brick, but it's a smaller use. We need the kind of thing that's going to fire up our plants. And it's not going to be wind, that's very intermittent, as you probably know. But they've spent a fortune. They've spent trillions of dollars on this stuff. And I'll just give you one other story. A friend of mine is a very successful guy. He went back to see his mother in Minnesota, hadn't seen her in a long time. And he wasn't back for 10 years, which isn't a nice story. I mean, you don't see your mother for 10 years. She's got some difficulties, which I know the guy, he does have some difficulties. He's very successful, but probably not the nicest person. It was actually longer than 10 years, but he went back and he told me he wanted to go and look at the valley. There's a valley in Minnesota that he thought was so beautiful. I hadn't seen it in a long time. He's driving along the road. He said, I'll use the word gosh. Oh my gosh. He said, oh. He said, it looked like a junkyard. You had 159 windmills. They were all over the place. Some were old, some were newer, different companies, different shapes, different sizes, different colors. Many of them were terminated meaning closed. You can't take them down because the environmentalists don't let you bury the blades because they're made out of a fiber they say is bad for the earth. So they want you to put them up, but they don't let you take them down. But many of them were turned off. He said it looked like a junkyard. Go to Palm Springs, California, and take a look at that pile of junk. And you go into a wealthy
It's a mess.
Before you get there, you have to ride through hundreds of windmills that are most of them turned
broken
off.
and
They're
falling apart,
rotting,
sitting
they're
there.
rusting. They're 30 years old, 20 years old, and they have a very short life. Those windmills have a very short life, especially the ones that are in the nice salty Atlantic Ocean and Pacific Ocean, where the salt just gets under that steel and decimates.
Thank you, Candle.
No, it's a horrible, horrible thing for our country.
Shady, I want to just take a quick minute too, because Palm Springs with those windmills, you drive in and they're all there. They kill birds. I mean, they rust. The oil leaks into the oil for the things. It's bad for the environment, and they're acting like it's good for the environment. I mean, what kind of upside down world are we living in?
Well, we're living in a world where things aren't like being engineered so that they're functional. We're living in a world where things are engineered so that the right people who hold their palms out get greased. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Everything is about the kickback. Everything is about, it's not, everything that they say to you is a virtue signal. So no matter what it is that they say that they're doing this for this reason or that, it's a virtue signal. They're not really doing it for this. The truth of the matter is the future probably is in solar, but the technology isn't there yet. And people like me have been saying for decades now, it's like we have to build our way into it. If you guys remember, Jeff, you remember way back in the early 70s, they called the OPEC gas shortage, okay? What they didn't tell you is that the only reason that you had an OPEC gas shortage is because the powers that be made it so that you were not allowed to produce energy in America. The Rockefellers and the people that went out, remember, we've been talking about the Pacers, we've been talking about the railroads and how they conquered all of the country. Well, they conquered all the resources. The resources are the place where you dig oil out of the ground. So they control those places. So all you have to do is turn off the spigot and say, oh, well, we're not getting any energy here anymore. We need to go somewhere else and get it. So they convinced the world that we had to get oil from the foreign sands over there in the Middle East as opposed to getting it from right here under our feet. And Donald Trump is currently proving to you that that whole thing was a lie, because there's no way that all the energy that he's talking about digging up from underneath the ground just happened in the last 50 years.
Yeah, it's crazy. And real quick, before we join the president again, I want to just get a cup of cafe, Shady.
I do too.
Oh my gosh, I need coffee. I need coffee right now. Let's do this. It's Rumble coffee. Excuse me, it's 1775 coffee, Shady. Now it's your shot. The 1775 starter kit just dropped 1,000 units. You're getting bold, dark roast. It hits harder than a CNN fact check. And the smooth medium roast and the Vitality Mushroom for clean energy, laser focus, no crash, all single origin, small batch, toxin free, mold free. Plus, you're also getting a golden spoon clip, because freedom isn't scooped with plastic. Another, a frother, you know those things that froth up the coffee? It's strong enough to stir up your mother-in-law's political opinions. Oh my gosh, that's so good. And a black 1775 tumbler that says, I don't take life advice from a woke sea witch. $170 worth of coffee and gear, yours for $99. This is for the ones that have been watching 1775 blow up all over Rumble and wondering if it's worth it. It is. Go to 1775coffee.com/studio and grab your starter kit before they're gone. Bold beans, clean fuel, and a morning routine that stands for something, just like the MG Show does, and you, and Rumble. Start your day with coffee that actually backs what you believe in.
You know, thank you so much for that, Jeff. Everybody needs a good cup of coffee. I think that they should take you reading that ad and make all the other channels play you reading that ad. You do that better than anybody else out there by a lot.
And I mentioned MG Show.
I know. That's another reason I was thinking that.
And make sure, guys, to like the video. Like the video, because we're getting on the leaderboard. We need you to like the video. I think we got a couple of thumbs down. We appreciate our hate watchers. Appreciate that, because they give us views, Shady.
Well, the hate watchers are our biggest fans, I'm pretty sure. Considering the content that's still being generated by us on the boards over there, it's pretty remarkable that no one else finds their way over there. Big things that we're talking about here, everybody. And the reason we're talking about big things is because Donald Trump is a big thinker. He's a builder. He thinks outside of the box. All these different things. Even hearing rumors that the UFC is coming to the White House, for crying out loud. I mean, you just can't make this stuff up, and there's no better timeline by far. So whatever he said there, he said that that small business is just as big as big business. What does that mean? Why would he say something like small business is just as big as big business? What he means is that the number of people, when you add up all of the revenue that comes from all of the people over the country of America who've decided to take matters into their own hands and become entrepreneurs and do something for themselves as opposed to go work for somebody else, that all of that combined equals the same amount of income that's generated by large ag, big corporate business. Put in comparison, it's equal, close to equal. Isn't that amazing? So essentially what you have is you have administrations for decades and decades and decades that have been capitulating to the big business side. Okay, The Republican Party of old was big business oriented. That's why a lot of people didn't like the Republican Party when you were young, because you felt like they were big business oriented. The truth of the matter, the Republican Party had nothing to do with big business. Big business was occupying the Republican Party, and it turned into, quote, neoconservatism. Neoconservatism is nothing more than liberal fanaticism, just nutty liberals calling themselves something else. Right now, we have been reoriented into MAGA. MAGA is currently the Make America Great Again. America First policies implemented will undergird small business, build up small business, and say, big business, we don't really need to be handing you all of these subsidies, Elon. Big business, we don't need to be paying for you to make stuff so that we can buy it. Big business, you're fine. Small business, we encourage profitability and we encourage entrepreneurship. This is the way that Donald Trump is switching the tides on him. It's literally happening like a light switch, flipping it on. It's not like he's got to go out there and negotiate all of these complicated contracts. We just needed somebody with the will to do it.
Exactly right. And, we're going to rejoin President Trump. This meeting is going long, but we're going to go to it. He's going to be answering about the Epstein as well. We need to listen to President Donald J. Trump, not some influencer that did January 6th, okay? I mean, this is, you're seeing a war playing out on Twitter or X or whatever the hell it's called, even True Social, Shady. This show listens to the President Donald J. Trump, period, really.
You mean the guy that was able to generate like 215 million American votes within an 8-year period? That guy?
That's the guy.
The guy that did something like no other human being on Earth could ever or will ever do again? Yeah, that's the guy we're going to currently listen to.
That's the guy. And Candle, thank you. $34 in Rumble Rants so far. Good. Keep up the good work, fellers. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that.
And bigly things and stuff like that. And then Rev Rob, we love the MG show. We love you. Thank you. Tell your beautiful wife, Charlotte, we said hello. And we're going back to my president, your president, our president, Shady Grove.
Don't you love winning?
I love it.
It's just so good.
I love it.
I love winning even more whenever they all try to pretend like our winning is losing. That makes my winning even better. I easily know that they're losers.
Well, and Shady, the reason why they're attacking us on these 8chan boards is because we're reading the Payseurs every Friday, guys. We're reading Pandora's box. They don't want you to understand this. So make sure you join Rumble Premium from our channel. There's a red button that you want to push to join Rumble Premium from our show channel. That would really help us out a lot. And you need to understand this information, because if you don't understand this information, Shady, wouldn't history, repeat itself, right?
Yes, the red button does not get you a Diet Coke. The red button gets you a subscription to Rumble Premium.
That's right. Right here. Rumble.com/MG show. If you're on Facebook, X, whatever, get over to rumble.com/MG show. Join premium for our Friday's show, because it's not broadcast anywhere else but here. All right, here we go. President Trump. Ready?
I'm ready.
And I speak out. It would be nice to say wind, because it sounds so good, doesn't it, Doug? Wind. But it's not. It's these ugly machines, and they're all made, you got to see, some are a little taller, a little shorter. They're made by different companies. They have different stocks. They have different blades. They have different everything. It is so horrible. And if you look at smart countries, they don't use it. Smart countries don't use it. And we're now a smart country. We're a brilliant country. We're not smart. We're brilliant now. We're going to be a brilliant country. We have to be, because we have to catch up with some really stupid people that did a bad job. Yes, Brian?
Yes, Mr. President, I've got a quick comment, some feedback as a native Texan, someone that I grew up bringing my kids to a camp very near the affected camp now. Thank you on behalf of Texas. I've gotten hundreds of messages that want to thank you. So if you're in the cabinet room, you can tell the president and his team on behalf of Texans, thank you so much for the quick response and the loving and the hugs. I saw that you gave. Two quick questions.
I saw a Palestinian senator. His name is Schumer. He's a good Palestinian. No, he's a Palestinian. He's become a Palestinian. He's abandoned the Jews. But I saw him say, it's Trump's fault. Yeah, that's right. It's Trump's fault. He was actually, do you ever see John Lovitz, The Liar? Where he goes, yeah, I went to Harvard. That's right. This was Schumer. He goes, yeah, it's Trump's fault. That's right. It's Trump. I actually saw that stupid guy try and blame it on me. And I said, man, that's a tough one to take. But his career is limited, because I hear AOC is going to beat him. And she's no bargain either, by the way. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying that's an example of an America First team effort to get this country back. So that's what America First looks like for the viewers watching us at home. I have two questions. It looks like we have a rogue judge, an Obama-backed rogue judge that is attempting to block the funding to Planned Parenthood, which the big, beautiful bill cuts off the funding to Planned Parenthood. Any plans to challenge that?
Okay.
Absolutely. Yes, we're on it. We're on it. And I texted, I believe, I talked to yesterday Secretary Lutnick and Secretary Besson. I reached out to you to let you know that we were on it in the big, beautiful bill.
Wonderful. And then
I let her handle that question. Did you notice? I said, go ahead, handle that question.
That's also to her. Then my second question was Secretary Rollins. You did an amazing press conference today in front of the Department of Agriculture. You talked about the Farm Act and the need to get China out of our country, owning farmland. For the viewers at home that might have missed that, can you recap what that means to national security to make sure we can grow our own food?
Well, thank you, Brian.
sir, if you don't mind. Yes, this morning Secretary Hegseth, Secretary Noem, and Attorney General Bondi and I had a press conference at the USDA. I just happened to have a chart in case it came up, but obviously the Chinese owning of farmland in our country is a massive national security issue. And for the media, you can see the yellow is where all of the farms have been purchased over the last number of years. And the red is around all of the military bases where that farmland has been purchased. So this is a massive national security issue. The press conference this morning included 3 of our greatest governors as well, Sarah Sanders from Arkansas, Jim Pillen from Nebraska, and Bill Lee from Tennessee. The states have begun taking a leadership role to ban the purchasing of China farmland. Obviously, Congress needs to step up and catch up, and we're going to be working alongside of them as well. We had some of our members, great members of Congress there, but it is time. And I think that this morning was symbolic of many things. The first of this administration working every day to effectuate President Trump's leadership and unequivocal support of America first. But second, just how close we are as a cabinet. I don't know in any other administration that you'd have 4 cabinet members at the USDA on a Tuesday morning when it's about 110 degrees outside with the sun beating down on us talking about, sir, your vision. So I think it was a great day. It was just the start. There's an executive order coming and some other things coming behind that. But protecting America's farms isn't just about protecting our farmers. It's also about national security. So that's what we discussed this morning.
I do want to say that I think we have had a really good relationship with China lately, and we're getting along with them very well. They've been very fair on our trade deal, honestly, and I hope we're going to have a great relationship. A big, strong, powerful country. We're more powerful than they are. We have much better military equipment than they do, but we are getting along with them very well. I'm getting along with President Xi very well. We speak often. And with all of that being said, and I understand what you're saying, but I think we're getting along with China very well.
Mr. President, you have sent more weapons to Ukraine, as you said last night. Last week, the Pentagon paused some shipments of weapons to Ukraine. Did you approve of that pause?
We want to put defensive weapons because Putin is not treating human beings right. He's killing too many people. So we're sending some defensive weapons to Ukraine, and I've approved that.
So who ordered the pause last week?
I don't know. Why don't you tell me?
I think that's a question.
Go ahead.
Mr.
Yeah.
President, on immigration, the Secretary of the Agriculture did say this morning that undocumented workers would not be covered by any amnesty from working on farms. You had said maybe that the ISA folks won't go after those folks on farms. So which is it?
There's no amnesty. What we're doing is we're getting rid of criminals, but we are doing a work program. Do you want to explain that, please?
Yeah, this morning we talked about, of course, this was a top of mind question. This morning we talked about protecting the farmers and the farmland, but obviously this president's vision of no amnesty, mass deportation continues, but in a strategic way, and then ensuring that our farmers have the labor that they need. Secretary Chavez-DeRimmer has been a leader on this. Obviously, this comes out of the Labor Department, but moving toward automation, ensuring that our farmers have that workforce, and moving toward an American workforce. So all of the
We've
above.
got to give the farmers the people they need, but we're not talking amnesty. Lori, do you want to say something about that?
Thank you, Mr. President. On this, thank you, Secretary Rollins, how important this is never to displace the American worker. What the Department of Labor is doing is focusing on what the law entails now, being more modernized, more streamlining to work through the H programs. We're going to have a concierge approach to that, where we have developed a new office to answer the need of our farmers and ranchers and producers and not to displace the American worker and follow within the law now, and that does not include an amnesty program at all. And we've seen that working, and we'll continue to have that roll out. On the other topics that we've somewhat talked about, the jobs numbers, Mr. President, 4 months in a row, we've seen those jobs numbers increase. That's an exciting time for our manufacturers. That was asked earlier. We know it's going to take some time, but through that deregulation process that Lee and I are working on as well, the Department of Labor has rolled out 63 new deregulations that we're going to be moving through. In the first Trump administration, it was successful with over 30. We've just rolled out 63 new ones in order to double down on those manufacturing companies to let them know that we have signaled through this process, that we will assist them in getting the workforce that they need. It's an exciting time. That one big beautiful bill, that was the signal to my former colleagues in Congress to get this done. It's been an important time. I spent time on the ground visiting 7 states in 9 days prior to that bill being passed, because it was the most pro-worker piece of legislation that we will ever see really in this country right now. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security. That matters to the American worker, because we don't want to take their money and give it back. We want them to keep more of their hard-earned dollars in their pockets currently, and that's what they're excited about. And as I move forward with these tariff talks, I heard a company, orthopedic company in Indiana, say to me, for the first time since you have taken office, Mr. President, their increase in their bottom line by 8% since these tariff talks have happened. Not one company has said the president is not doing a good job. These tariff talks are working. They're feeling it on the ground. The media has told a false story, because what's happening on the ground is positive, and that's what we're seeing in these jobs numbers. So I really, through the Department of Labor, to come in behind all the secretaries and build this workforce is going to be key to the American worker. So thank you for what everybody did this last week. The One Big Beautiful Bill is a doubling down of this, and we're going to see these workers start to grow. And that apprenticeship program is going to be working.
That's
We'll
right.
have that
It's gonna
million
be-
apprentices across the country.
We, as you know, we're building plants all over the country now, which you weren't building any plants 4 years ago. You weren't building anything. But those plants, when they open up, it's going to be, you'll see numbers like you haven't seen ever. I don't think in history you'll never see numbers like what we're going to see in the very near future. Many of them are building the plants. Some are just starting right now. You know, it's a brand new administration. But, and they wouldn't be here except for 2 things: November 5th, the election, and the tariffs. And frankly, I guess the election was more important because of the tariffs. I mean, another person wouldn't have done this. But they're coming in because of the tariffs. They have to, they're not going to pay 25, 30, 40, 50%, 70, and 100%. And we'll be announcing something very soon on pharmaceuticals. We're going to give people about a year and a half to come in, and after that, they're going to be tariffed if they have to bring the pharmaceuticals into the country, the drugs and other things into the country. They're going to be tariffed at a very, very high rate, like 200%. We'll give them a certain period of time to get their act together. But they were all here. Now they all left. They went to other places because we allowed, people that sat in this room allowed it to happen. And I don't allow it to happen. The people in this room don't allow it to happen. So we're going to be announcing pharmaceuticals, chips, and various couple of other things, you know, big ones. We did steel, as you know, they're 50%. We did aluminum, 50%. Lumber just came out.
Mention that's copper.
And we did cars. And now, today, we're doing copper.
What would that tariff number? The section tariff?
I believe the tariff on copper, we're going to make it 50%.
50%.
Any breakthroughs in
See, I'm glad he
Gaza?
didn't question it.
Any
I sort of just thought, what would that be? That was a quick one. I didn't have much time, but he agreed with me. That's why he's Howard.
Any breakthroughs on Gaza with the Prime Minister, and there's reports that you're meeting with Netanyahu again tonight? Is that
Yeah, I
correct?
am. He's going to come over again tonight. We're talking about Gaza, mostly Gaza right now. It's he's been very unfairly treated. I think what they've done to him in Israel is very unfair, having to do with this trial. I think, you know, he's a wartime prime minister, had an unbelievable outcome, and I think he's been treated very unfairly. But he's coming over later. We're going to be talking about, I would say, almost exclusively Gaza. We got to get that solved. Gaza is a tragedy. It's a tragedy. And he wants to get it solved, and I want to get it solved. And I think the other side wants to get it solved. Steve, could you talk on that, please?
We're in proximity talks now. And we had 4 issues, and now we're down to 1 after 2 days of proximity talks. So we are hopeful that by the end of this week, we will have an agreement that will bring us into a 60-day ceasefire. 10 live hostages will be released. 9 deceased will be released. We're meeting at the president's direction with all the hostage families to let them know. And we think that this will lead to a lasting peace in Gaza.
And you're doing a good job. It's a tough one. A lot of hate, you know, it's called long-term hate. But we think we're going to have it solved pretty soon, hopefully with a real solution, a solution that's going to be holding up.
And can I follow up? This is, I think, the first cabinet meeting since Elon Musk has now been a special government employee, not here anymore. He's now saying he's going to create a third political party. Are you worried about the impact that that could have?
No, I think it'll help us. It'll probably help. Third parties have always been good for me. I don't know about Republicans, but for me.
Are you second guessing any of the cuts that DOJ made? Since you
No,
described it as
no.
off the rails
Look,
the other day?
we cut hundreds of billions of dollars with DOJ. We could have done it differently. I would have done it differently a little bit maybe, but it was something that we saved a lot of money. You can always second guess. I guess some of the people in this room maybe.
Somebody's asking who is asking that question. That is CNN's Caitlin Collins from the Witches Bloodline.
That dude.
Dylan Mulvaney.
Would have done it slightly differently, and some would have done it exactly the way it was done. But it was dramatic and it was important, and we found a lot of things like billions of dollars given to people for environmental protection, where they had $100 in the account, like in Atlanta, Stacy. And then you had another one with 20 billion here, and 20 billion here, and 2 billion here, and 15 billion. And Lee, you might want to mention just a couple of those things we really got because of DOJ.
At the Trump EPA, the one big beautiful bill was filled with many big beautiful wins for the taxpayer. It delivered a sledgehammer to the Green New Scam. Billions of dollars rescinded. So it's a big deal for the American taxpayer who sees money go through pass-throughs that are filled with self-dealing and conflicts of interest. They see unqualified recipients. They see reduced agency oversight, and they want accountability with their tax dollars, and they got it. In the example of the Stacey Abrams connected NGO, they received $100 in 2023. They got $2 billion in 2024. They had to complete training on how to develop a budget that was put into their grant agreement. They, out of nowhere, started paying a CEO $800,000, a COO $450,000, 22 people making over 150 grand. Out of nowhere, this is tax dollars. So money go through pass-throughs, through other pass-throughs, through other pass-throughs, and we lose oversight over it. And you see that it's going to former Biden officials, it's going to former Obama officials, it's going to Democratic donors. And we're not here saying we want to take money from a left-wing NGO and give it to a right-wing NGO. We want to give it back to the taxpayer. This is about us being good stewards of American tax dollars without any apology or regret. That's why President Trump was elected last November, because there were a whole lot of people who maybe they hadn't voted Republican in a long time. Maybe they didn't even vote for President Trump the first time around in 2016, but they're regretting that vote from 2016 and they were making it right in 2024. So the One Big Beautiful Bill gave us the tools to rescind billions of dollars more. We're seeing hundreds of thousands of dollars that'll get wasted per electric vehicle. As an example of this money that was going through it. They gave $50 million to a group called Climate Justice Alliance. They say that climate justice runs through a free Palestine. The Biden EPA gave $50 million to a group that says that climate justice runs through a free Palestine. We say that if you're going to spend $1 in the name of remediating an environmental issue, then spend the $1 on remediating an environmental issue. We say that we can protect the environment and grow the economy. We want to help grow more baseload power in this country. So why is it that it took this long for this team to get assembled, to be able to fix the mess that we inherited? Gosh, we love showing up at our jobs every single day, first thing in the morning, because all day long we get things done for the American taxpayer. And Congress did its part last week by passing One Big Beautiful Bill to deliver this accountability and to cut off the Green New Scam. So maybe it's a bad day for Stacey Abrams. Maybe it's a bad day for all those well-connected Democrats getting paid off. But you know what? God bless America. Because at the end of the day, President Trump is here, J.D. Vance is here, and the greatest cabinet ever assembled to deliver that much-needed and highly demanded accountability.
That was a very good answer. And that's from the heart. That's from the heart.
The Ukrainians have asked the International Court to go after Russia for using toxic chemicals in the fight. Germany and Germany and the Netherlands have had intelligence saying that. What does U.S. intelligence believe, and what do you believe about the use of chemical weapons? And would you agree that that's the case for it?
Well, ask John maybe to discuss it if you'd like, John.
Well, Mr. President, obviously, chemical weapons, if it's documented in its use, it's illegal. It's against all international laws of armed conflict and treaties. And obviously, I can't share in this room with this audience the intelligence that I can share with you privately, but obviously, you're not going to stand or allow for any violations of international law by anyone.
That's right. Thank you. Could I ask Sean to Department of Transportation, Sean Duffy, former great congressman, very popular, said he'd go out and make a couple of bucks. He made a lot. And he got bored with that, though. He likes serving people better, the people. And could I ask you to just discuss a very important subject to me, and that's the modernization of our equipment at airports so that planes aren't crashing into each other and bad things don't happen. It should have been done many years ago. We were going to do it, and then the election precluded that, unfortunately. But we're doing it now. Could you tell them where we are?
Yeah, if I could start with Newark. You guys all covered what happened in Newark. We had outages for a couple of 30-second outages a couple months ago. We have, in 2 months, Mr. President, it's historic speed, laid new fiber lines for communication and tested those in the next month. So those new lines for the Philly Tracon that controls the Newark airspace, they're up and running. Lightning fast speed. June was the most on-time June ever in the history of Newark for air travel. So that's going incredibly well. By the way, we shouldn't have dealt with this because Joe Biden and Pete Buttigieg had moved the center from New York to Philadelphia. They didn't test the lines. They didn't do the work, which is what brought us all these problems. But in the big, beautiful bill, we got $12.5 billion. This is a historic investment in air traffic control. And so what the money is going to allow us to do is move from copper to fiber all over the country. So new copper lines. We think we can do that in a year and a half to 2 years. We have radar that dates back to the 1950s, some of it from the 60s and 70s. We get brand new radar across the country as well. We have some infrastructure money to build TRACONs and centers, the en route centers that control the traffic across the country. So this is a massive new start to rebuild air traffic control. And again, this is dilapidated. Americans think that their government takes care of them and makes the investments that are necessary to make the country work. And for 30, 40 years, the investments weren't made. And so under your leadership and direction, we are making those investments. And per your direction, right now, we are interviewing what we could call a general contractor or an integrator. One company to manage. It's a massive project. The FAA is not qualified to manage this kind of a project. So we are now going through the process of finding who that one company will be to manage the whole project. We'll interview those companies together and make that selection. So we'll write one big, beautiful check to one beautiful company that'll be responsible for this whole build. But if I just make one last point, this is not enough money. We're going to need more. But this is a massive new start, the biggest investment. We'll need some more money on top of it, but a great start from the big, beautiful.
The starter. It was very important to us. And just to cover that, there have been accidents, and my pilots, I would often hear them say, oh, good, and they would use a different system, a different country to land in New York. They'd use the radar and other things from a different country. I said, what's that? He said, oh, our system is so bad. And I knew that. We were all set to start. And Boot at Edge came in, and what they did was so crazy because they hooked it copper into fiber, into steel, they had all different systems. They had hundreds and hundreds of contractors, different contractors for different airports. They spent billions of dollars, and they made the system worse because you can't hook copper into fiber. It doesn't work that way. You just can't do it. It's not doable, but they tried to do it. Didn't work out too well. And in the end, it was just a complete disaster. We want to have one great company. Now, Raytheon's going to bid, IBM's going to bid. We have 5 or 6 bidders that really are good and do this stuff. And we want one, because I know about overruns, I look at the railroad out in California, headed up by one of the worst governors in our country. Well,
The
he's still
railroad?
around, actually, but he's just, when you lose 25,000 houses and you would have had your cities burned down. If we didn't step in, Los Angeles would have been burned to the ground. But you look at that, and I said, I really know how to build. And you got to have one guy, one contractor, one great one, whether it's IBM or Raytheon is good, but you have 4 or 5 that are really, really great, and they're all bidding against each other. But you don't want to have one doing the wire and one doing the digging and one doing the demolition and then they're all saying they all blame each other because they're saying they were late and therefore you have to pay me millions of dollars more money. I know the system so well, and we're going to have a great company do the whole thing. We're going to get a fantastic price. Maybe we'll get them, they're very big and very strong, and maybe we'll get them to make a contribution toward getting it done at the right price. But we're going to have a great system. When we finish, we will have the best system on earth.
And another thing interesting to note is that Elon Musk went off the rails, and he said he was talking about railroads. Pretty interesting as well with those comments on Elon Musk. JD Groove, real quick, I think we need to do a Rumble Premium thing here. Let's just get this out of the way. But this is an amazing cabinet meeting, guys. But this sponsorship right now is from Rumble, and one that's incredibly important to the survival of Rumble and the MG show. When Rumble first started in 2013, built a platform for the small creator. They didn't care or have biases or censor. Everybody was treated fair and equally. And no one thought that platforms would censor political conversations like COVID, right? Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg. Yeah. Or censor political conversation. Who does that? We should all put on our big boy panties and be able to talk, right? But this is what they did. They did that on Facebook. They censored you. They hid you. They algorithmed you, even on X and Twitter. But Rumble did not, guys. And they held the line. They're attacked daily, Shady Groove. I mean, this is crazy. For giving us, the MG show, a voice to talk to you. They're attacked in corporate media. They're attacked in governments like France. I wonder why, right? France, well, we know about the Merovingians, don't we? They're attacked from brand advertisers who refuse to work with them. Corporate America is fighting to remove free speech, and we're fighting to keep it, and Rumble is fighting to keep it. Rumble won't survive with brand advertisers. They don't get much of it. So watching our show, the MG show, right here on Rumble is the most they can ask from you. But if you really believe in this fight and you have the means, one major way that you can help Rumble survive is by joining Rumble Premium. Join, and you get our content on Friday. We do 5 hours a month. That's it, guys. 5 hours a month, and it's all about the pay-sewers. Join that community that believes in the First Amendment and believes in our human right to free speech. Rumble's offering $10 off right now with the promo code STUDIO. When you purchase an annual subscription, go to rumble.com/premium and use that promo code STUDIO. Like I said, if you have the means and you believe in the cause, now is the time to join Rumble Premium. If you don't have the means, we're just happy that you watch the MG show right here on Rumble.
Thank you all so much. So, what an amazing moment to come back to after this weekend of extraordinarily winning. And whenever I was talking about the winning that is going on at the beginning of the broadcast, that is literally what we are highlighting here today, bringing you this conference full as we can, in real time, close to real time as we can, simply for this. You saw all of the narratives. Did you see the narratives that he beat down? You guys are still talking about that creep? You see that? You guys are still talking about that creep that came from Donald Trump referring to Jeffrey Epstein. Mm-hmm. So basically, he just gave a signal to you, to all of the people out there. He said, hey, if you see people out there that can't get over this Epstein thing, that might be psychological operations, guys. Mm-hmm. Okay? I'm not trying to tell you that everything that, I don't know. I'm not trying to tell you I have a super secret intel insider source. What I'm trying to tell you is I'm using my logic, and I'm listening to my president. I'm listening to the guy who is wielding the pen, the guy that's got the pen, the man in the arena, the guy that can sign the executive orders, the man that is setting the agenda for America, not for himself, not for his companies, not for the Republican Party. A rising tide lifts all boats. Even the Democrats' boats are going to get lifted with this economic thing. Stop trying to drag us down. That's what he's basically saying right there. And I'm going to heed his warning. I'm going to follow his lead. I'm not caught up in all of this BS because I can clearly see I was schooled in economics. I was schooled in finance. I understand how that stuff works. I understand how big business has been taking advantage of it for decades and decades. And I see Donald Trump doing something about that problem, which I feel like is the big problem.
Liquor Giant says Trump shed a lot of MAGA over this. No, he didn't.
No, he hasn't.
He has not. You're on the X. I mean, come on. X is infestated with bullshit. And bullshit people, Shady, to be honest.
There's not a single human being that is truly MAGA that's walking away from Donald Trump. Not a single one. If a person is walking away from Donald Trump right now because of things that you see going on, that person was not, is not, and will never be America first. I'm so sorry to tell you that.
So we're going to go ahead and give our audience a preview. This is another Promethean action video. We're going to take a step because this is what you need to be talking about, not arresting Epstein. Okay, arresting Epstein isn't going to put money in your pocket, guys. You realize that? And he's dead. You can't prosecute dead men tell no tales. And, you know, is something happening? Maybe. Let's wait for our president to take the lead. Not General Flynn, not Steve Bannon, not Alex frickin' Jones. Knock it off with these fucking people.
Oh, can I interject?
Wait. Let me just do this.
Yeah, there you go. Good job. You got it. Perfect. Let me ask my audience a question. Very simple question. Where is Ghislaine Maxwell?
She's in jail.
She's in jail. Wait a minute. So who is Jeffrey Epstein's bloodline? Oh, you don't know. Why wouldn't you know? Oh, wait. Who is Ghislaine Maxwell's bloodline? Oh, Robert Maxwell, Tavistock, the British Empire, the media empire. Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert Maxwell. She's in prison. So didn't you say this crazy thing? What was it? It was like follow the knives, follow the
wives.
Wives. Yeah, follow the wives. That would be the women, right? Oh, the women would be the ones that would be in control of the situations, and the Epsteins of the world would be the quote patsy. You wouldn't think that a bunch of numbnut psyops would be trying to distract you with a patsy, would you?
Yeah. Wow. And you know, Q even said that he's a puppet. Okay, so we can, but I want to get back to, you know, what really matters to your country. And what really matters to your country is the monetary system and the manufacturing, getting rid of the British Empire, Shady. That is what matters to your country. The invisible enemy that nobody talks about because they're too stupid to understand finances, Shady.
You're getting ready to watch competent, smart people talk, okay? Competent, smart people talk. They're going to say things that you've heard on this show before. And they're going to say things that you never hear listening to programs like Badlands Media and Rambo.
Rambo and Friends. All right, so here we go. This is Promethean action. So Musk is getting played, guys. And Musk is not on your side. It's not a fake fight, guys. It's real, okay?
That's a good point to make.
You know, stop with this, oh, they're just going to make a new party to get... No!
Anybody that's saying that is psychologically operating against you. They are lying and they are detracting from Trump's importance and detracting from how people are trying to dilute his message.
And you know what I can say for experience? That we've had a lot of people, thousands, Shady, that befriended us and then turned on us. That's exactly what Elon Musk did to Donald J. Trump. Exactly what's happened to this show. You and people in this room, you've witnessed it. You've witnessed people be our friend and then all of a sudden go off the rails on us. It's exactly the same thing as they have the same playbook. And what if Elon did it on purpose, guys?
The whole thing. The whole thing.
MAGA?
It couldn't be more exact like what they did to us. It couldn't be more exact like the way that they pretend like, oh, we love your information. We love what you're doing. We love da-da-da. And then they get closer and closer to you. Then they learn things about you. And then they try to like take these random things that they know and twist it into something and make it into something that it isn't. Isn't that similar to what Elon Musk is doing to Donald Trump right now with a Twitter sphere of like however many billion people?
Yep. And, you know, I want to know real quick, you know, why Roger Stone and General Flynn hasn't released the pedophile list that they said they had. How many years ago? 7 years ago.
Well, but Flynn is out there screaming and yelling that it's Donald Trump to do that. Why can't he release his pedophile list?
Right. Liquor Giant, Trump needs to fire Bondi, Kash, and Dan to patch this boat. No, he doesn't. He needs to you need to get your head right.
Look
Get out of deep dream. Look at Shady Grove. Look at this. Why don't you go ask General Flynn? He has a high list of pedophiles, the release of which will decimate the deep state. So where is General Flynn's explosive list, guys? That was supposed to be dismantling the deep state. It's been 8 years since Roger Stone's tweet. Why don't you go ask General Flynn, guys? And don't tell me who needs to be fired and who doesn't need it. Everybody thinks they know better than Donald J. Trump, Shady.
Everybody totally thinks that they know better, and I'm going to sit here and tell you that what I saw right there was camaraderie between Donald Trump and Pam Bondi. You can make all of the crazy, nutty assumptions you want and listen to these people like Michael Flynn that tell you that, or Ivan Ranklin that tell you that it's scam Blondie. You're listening to the psychological operators that we've been telling you that you can't be psyops. So I don't understand how people are coming to this show where psyops go to die, and they're bringing the psyops with them.
Yeah, and Liquor Giant, it refuses to ask General Flynn where his list of pedophiles is. Roger Stone said it. Ask him.
And
I'll wait for the answer.
You'll get blocked.
You'll get blocked. All right, so if you guys really want to know what's going on, we've heard of the invisible enemy, guys. The invisible enemy is the British Empire, and they are using Elon Musk, his tantrums, to sabotage your president, Donald J. Trump, and the entire economic revolution, which is what you should be concerned about.
And they're going to fail.
And they're going to fail, just like they always do.
Because
in the end,
understand. Yeah, because we understand economics. We understand what Donald Trump is really doing. We understand what it means to unleash financial freedom. You've never seen it, guys. You act like you're sitting here and things are going to continue the way they were. The gold price went down. I want to make this point. Gold went down. Okay, think about that. That's stability. There's stability in the market. Trump just passed this big, beautiful bill, and they were screaming with their hair on fire that, he's going to upend the national debt. Blah, 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 blah. Then gold should have spiked over the weekend. It went down.
Interesting. All right, so this is what you should really be concerned about, okay? Not some dead guy, okay? Look, if you cut the strings to the NGOs, to all the things that we've been talking about here on the MG show, there will be no trafficking. I mean, I don't think our success will be our retribution.
Correct.
That's Donald J. Trump.
Correct.
And prepare yourself, guys. Otherwise, GTFO. Here we go. Check it out. This is really good, guys. I'm telling you, she nailed it. And it's a lot of what we've been saying here on the MG show for years, Shady. Here we go.
Donald Trump is building the advanced manufacturing and industrial economy he promised, where massive new revenues pay down our debt. Meanwhile, the modern British financial empire is using Elon Musk's tantrums to sabotage Trump's entire economic revolution. Why is that? Democrats, Wall Street, the City of London, and some in Silicon Valley want you to believe that our debt crisis means we need to cut spending and hit the debt ceiling to force government cuts. They say that's the only, quote, fiscally responsible path forward. But that's exactly the debt trap that the modern British financial empire designed. Keep America broke and dependent on financial speculation while they profit from our economic decline. Trump sees through this scam completely. I'm Barbara Boyd. I've been studying America's post-industrial collapse since 1971. When central bankers convinced Richard Nixon to destroy the Bretton Woods gold reserve system, setting us on a path to ballooning debt and a hollowed-out economy. Today, I'm exposing how the British Empire weaponizes debt fear to stop Trump's agenda. I'm going to show you exactly how the empire's debt weapon strategy works to block productive investment, why Trump's manufacturing revolution is the real solution that terrifies the financial elite, and how Musk's engineering genius makes him the perfect unwitting spokesman for the empire's agenda, and why Trump's peace offensive in the Middle East is now crucial for unlocking the global economic development that makes all of this possible. Now, before I start, if you haven't already, go to the Promethean Action website now and subscribe. We're building a Promethean community here, one that can fully understand the president's economic agenda and recognizes our true enemy, the modern British financial empire. Now, let's dig in. Trump's vision is about building things, moving things, and fixing things, creating an economy where one wage earner can support a family. That's the kind of economy that can actually pay off the national debt, something Elon can't understand. Like his libertarian friend Milei in Argentina, he believes that the so-called discipline of austerity creates growth. But that thinking has been used over and over again since 1971 by the IMF and World Bank to cannibalize every productive economy in the world and sell it off for profit. The American system, which Trump believes in, generates growth by investment in the creative powers of the population, modern infrastructure, and a real production of new and advancing technologies. Trump's vision places the jobs of the future squarely into the hands of America's workers and builders, not the now vanishing professional and white-collar desk jobs chased by the Democrats and lived by Silicon Valley's gamers and coders. Here's what Trump wants: advanced energy sources powering new industries, a golden dome defense system, space exploration that opens new frontiers, massive upscaling of our labor force, stable supply chains for critical minerals, and rapidly developing economies abroad to buy the advanced goods we will be making. But none of this happens now without tariffs, targeted government spending, and most importantly, peace. This week, peace in the Middle East is front and center at the White House. Today, Bibi Netanyahu visits and Trump is pressing him hard for an end to the war in Gaza and the return of hostages, neither of which have been Israeli priorities. At the same time, Israel and Hamas are holding talks in Qatar about a new ceasefire proposal. And here's some real intrigue. The White House leaked that Steve Witkoff, Trump's peace emissary, is meeting in Oslo with Iranian representatives, the first such meeting since the U.S. strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities. It's not officially confirmed, but the signals are there. I believe Trump's bold Middle East peace plan involves a lot of backstage players, most significantly Russia's President Putin and Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. The Saudi defense minister was at the White House Friday to coordinate ahead of Bibi's visit. That same day, Putin made a statement highlighting Russia's historic alliances with the United States, from the Revolutionary War to World War II. He's reminding us that Russia has been our special ally before, and he is seeking to be so again. Russia has deep ties to Israel, Iran, and Syria. It's no accident if Iran's foreign minister sat with Putin as the U.S. attacked Iran's nuclear sites, or that Saudi Arabia has kept the olive branch extended to Iran after warring with them for decades. Trump said over the weekend that after the strikes, the Iranians called him, told him exactly where they'd launched symbolic retaliations. No U.S. troops were killed. All the missiles were shut down. Putin wants to be our ally against the common British imperial enemy, just like in the Revolution and Civil War. Saudi Arabia holds the carrot for the Israelis, recognition of Israel and joining the Abraham Accords, but only if the Gaza slaughter ends. And on Friday, Trump is hosting a first-ever summit with leaders from Gabon, Guinea-Bissau, Liberia, Mauritania, and Senegal, nations with the strategic minerals America needs for advanced manufacturing. They want real African economic development, and Trump is ready to deal. This follows his historic settlement of the Congo-Rwanda 30 years of war, which killed over 6 million people. It also involves securing a deal for the Congo's strategic minerals. Now let's talk tariffs and rebuilding our economy. The 90-day window for Trump's new tariff ends Wednesday. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said on CNN Sunday that if deals aren't reached by August 1st, the April 2nd reciprocal tariffs will come back into effect. With that tool in hand, he expects deals with America's 18 major trade partners within this period. Trump's tariff policy has won major converts. Former President Jim Farley, speaking at the Aspen Ideas Forum Friday, admitted he's gone from free trader to tariff supporter. But he warned America faces a critical shortage of skilled labor. Over 1.6 million workers needed as auto technicians and in manufacturing, construction, and warehousing simply don't exist. To build Trump's economy, we need massive training programs fast with government support. Now, President Trump signed 2 executive orders on April 23rd addressing exactly this issue. They call for a complete review of all government-supported jobs programs to emphasize apprenticeships, upskilling for the modern manufacturing and industrial economy Trump is building, and AI training programs. The big, beautiful bill expands Pell Grants for this purpose and lets able-bodied adults keep Medicaid if they spend 20 hours a week in training. But more is needed.
And guys, I want you to understand, this is the fight, okay? This right here is the fight.
Yes, everything else is completely a sideshow, like a side stage or like, the concession booth. This is the main event right here, what this person is talking about. Everything else that any other broadcaster is talking about is complete gobbledygook. None of it means nothing. This is what changes.
And I had to ban somebody from this chat because he wanted to see child porn, Shady.
Oh my God.
These people are disgusting.
Good Lord.
Here
That
we go.
doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, I know, right? All right, here we go. Back to and this is the fight, guys. It's the invisible enemy. It's the British Empire, and they're using Elon Musk. She's going to get to it here in a second. Pay attention. You need to understand this. It's economics. This is how you cut the strings
and win.
It. Ford is planning a conference this fall to address the skills gap. It will dovetail with the reports the president's 2 EOs commanded from his cabinet. This is the answer to the Democrats' tired talking points about Trump funding billionaires while throwing people off Medicaid. If Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s MAHA initiative reduces chronic disease and big pharma's price gouging, and a skilled trades boom fills new high-paying jobs with health insurance, we can end the death and medical debt march set off by Obamacare, kick the hedge funds out of owning medical practices, and build a wealthy, productive economy, and we might have enough new doctors, nurses, and surplus funding to assure every American access to quality health care. Now about Elon's tantrums. Ever since he left the administration, Musk has been raging about Trump's big, beautiful deal and the national debt. His outbursts have delighted Trump's enemies, Mark Cuban, Anthony Scaramucci, Senator Tom Tillis, to name a few here.
Yeah. So Elon Musk joins a party or has a party. And by the way, he even did it wrong. Okay. You'll see. But Scaramucci, all the people that were Scaramucci played out of Trump's administration are wanting this. Even General Flynn said that the new party was a quote unquote good idea.
Good idea. Yeah.
Yeah. And remember, the Flynnians also wanted a MAGA party. Okay. This is old playbook known. It's the economy, stupid. Okay. The economy running smoothly fixes everything.
Here on the Republican side, along with the entire Democratic Party. They're drooling at the thought of using Elon's millions to defeat Trump's agenda come 2026. That's not to mention the joy being felt by all of the oligarchs in Europe. On June 30th, Musk tweeted on his X account, every member of Congress who campaigned on reducing government spending and then immediately voted for the biggest debt increase in history will lose their primary next year if it's the last thing I do on this platform. And then, hitting the debt ceiling is the only thing that will force the government to cut waste and fraud. That's why the debt ceiling exists. Then, on July 5th, after a poll on his own X, Musk announced that the American Party had filed with the FEC. But he filed the wrong form for a political party with the FEC. It's just a single candidate committee for a candidate named Elon Musk. That's what the form says. It's not the right form to form a political party. Musk's idea of hitting...
Did you see that, guys?
Yes, like that's exactly the kind of stuff we're trying to explain to you. Everybody else just pulls their hair out and loses their mind, and nobody slows down to pay attention to anything.
And look at this. So there it is. There's the form right there. American Party by some Indian guy, Vabhav Tangia. Okay, he's not even American. I can't even say his name, Shady. That's the American Party? Are you kidding me?
That's uber American, man. Like that. That's like over top notch, uber American.
Yeah.
It's not the right form to form a political party. Musk's idea of hitting the debt ceiling to force cuts that could collapse the U.S. economy and produce social chaos, exposing things like Medicare, Social Security, and defense spending to the whims of the globalist world markets. But isn't that exactly what London wants? And here's the kicker. Elon is a brilliant engineer and a genius inventor, but he knows nothing about real economics or politics. He rails against big government, but every single one of his companies, Tesla, SpaceX, Starlink, got government grants and support. He opposed Trump's tariffs because of his interest in China and love of low labor costs resulting from offshoring jobs and importing H-1B visa holders at reduced salaries. And his budget math? He relies on CBO figures that ignore economic growth deliberately. Treasury Secretary Bessent is right. The key is the debt to GDP ratio. Can you grow your productive economy faster than the debt? That, by the way, is why Trump is threatening to fire Fed Chair Powell. Powell admitted to fawning European central bankers last week that the Fed would have lowered rates by now except for Trump's tariff program. But tariffs are now pouring billions of dollars into the Treasury with no resulting inflation. Yet because of the interest rate, the debt keeps rising thanks to the Fed. Bessent's response to Elon: I admire Elon's leadership on rockets. I will take care of the finances. And on Sunday, the principles of Doge were very popular, I think, if you looked at the polling. Elon was not. President Trump also posted on Truth Social Sunday that he was saddened that in the last 5 weeks, Elon Musk has simply gone off the rails. So don't be confused by Elon Musk or the empire's debt collectors. If you understand Trump's economic revolution, you'll see we have a lot of work to do, but it's good work, productive work, building up the economy, which other presidents almost lost forever. That's the mission here at Promethean Action, making sure Americans fully understand this grand mission of our president and aren't fooled about the nature of his imperial enemies. If you haven't already, go to the Promethean Action website and subscribe. We have 6 more paid.
Visit PrometheanAction.com. So, but she laid it out perfectly, Shady Groove. Everybody's reeing about all this stupid crap because they think you're stupid. They think that you don't understand what President Trump is doing. They think that you should be divided because of this arrest, that arrest. They think they know better about Pam Bondi. They think they know better about Kash Patel. They think they know better than President Trump, Shady. It's not going to work.
We told you that they would do this, and here we are 6 months in, and they're doing it exactly 100% what we told you that they would do. We told you that they would tell you that Donald Trump was incompetent. We told you that they would tell you that Donald Trump doesn't have the right people around him. We told you that they would tell you that Donald Trump is getting bad advice from the people that he does have around him. And we told you that they would tell you that the reason that he is doing this and not getting this good advice is because he's not listening to their people. Their people are the ones that got us all in trouble back there in 2016 to 2020 era. Their people are the Bannon nuts. Their people are the Alex Jones nuts. Their people are the Flynn cult. Their people are these people that follow around Laura Logan and claim that she's somehow a respected journalist. These people are the ones that are leading you off of the reservation. They're trying to tell you the whole operation from Tucker Carlson to Alex Jones was to lead you away from Donald Trump, and it doesn't matter where you end up. Try to demean him, undermine him, and make him look like he's pathetic and weak. That's what they're trying to do, and they are failing at every single turn outside of social media.
Script Keeper says it really well here. The ending is not for everyone, and everyone is freaking out, okay? The ending is for you, we the people, not for anybody else. It's for all of us, okay? It's not for somebody's own agenda. It's for all of our agendas. He literally is giving the government back to the people, guys.
And then you're complaining about like how he's doing it.
Yeah, everybody is.
Well,
everybody is.
But they're complaining about how he's doing it because they didn't think he would do it. You guys didn't get that. They really didn't think he could do it. They didn't think he had the political will or the strength to stand up to this. And I'm not talking about the Democrats. We beat them easy. It's these people that are psychologically operating against the minds of the quote-unquote MAGA that we're having a problem with because they think that all the problems have already been get mode. They think that all the problems are already solved.
Yeah, they're already dead, apparently, to some of these two stupid people on Deep Dream. I mean, X. Now, look, this is what Anons were chosen for a reason. okay, when we get information, okay, he did not commit suicide. Okay, he didn't commit suicide. Why do I have to read about it? He didn't commit suicide, or he did commit suicide. I don't know, whatever. And we showed you who started. Epstein did not kill himself. It came from Roger Stone, Shady.
It sure did.
We need to look within ourselves, look at that mirror, and just accept the facts for what they are instead of your feelings. Because people's feelings, Shady, what's the IQ of those feelings?
0.
Mm.
And
Mickey B, thank you.
And also, let's not. It wouldn't hurt to mention that whenever you own something, well, you kind of like it, right? So if you owned a psyop, if you initiated a psyop, if the psyop was yours, your Epstein little ball of psyop, then all of your little psyopers would be utilizing that same ball of psyop, wouldn't they? Because you own it. Because you own it. It's yours. It belongs to you. It's much like how they perpetuate the 3 names of everybody they successfully kill an American president with. They want you to know for sure. They want the operation embedded into your mind. Same similar situation that's going on. We're going to beat them. I don't care how hard they keep. It's called the struggle. They're going to lose. They might as well just throw in the towel.
But Shady, it's a fake fight between Elon and Trump. They're going to do a new party.
Yeah.
No.
Good luck with that.
We're taking over the GOP party. We are the America First Party, the GOP now. And let's watch Donald Trump. Watch his mannerisms, guys. Okay? This is not a fake fight.
This is a reaction to Elon Musk starting a third party. I think it's ridiculous to start a third party. We have a tremendous success with the Republican Party. The Democrats have lost their way, but it's always been a two-party system. And I think starting a third party just adds to confusion. It really seems to have been developed for two parties. Third parties have never worked. So he can have fun with it, but I think it's ridiculous. What's golden key back? Golden key back from Elon. Go ahead. What's your message going to be to Netflix?
That is, oops, excuse me.
That is not a very happy Trump. Are you going to give the gold? Did you see that, Shady Grove? You think that's acting? You think that's fake? If you do, check yourself.
Because the people tried to do the similar thing to us. They tried to act like that. The people that were attacking us. Oh no, the MG show that they're just fake fighting. We're not fake fighting with anybody that lied about us. Okay, anybody that made stuff up that wasn't true and spread it around, acting like that we did or did do or didn't do or all these different nonsensical narratives. None of it's fake. They lied. They spread lies about us, just like these people are spreading lies about Donald Trump. This is the Democrat playbook. At its core, it is the Babylonian money system that is being protected.
And I'd like to also just real quick before we get out of here, I know we're in overtime. Thank you very much, Mickey B, for the overtime tips. EMP, thank you for that. I missed shouting a couple people out, but possible Epstein was a puppet, not the main persons of interest. Financed by who or what foreign entities? Primary gather blackmail on elected polls, dignitaries, royalty, Hollywood influencers, Wall Street, and other financial top-level players, other high-profile industry-specific people, etc. Feed and addiction, controllable. Maxwell family background, Robert Maxwell history, intel agencies, wealth, class 1 through 99. Sometimes it's the people in the background that are of greater significance. Again, possible Epstein was a puppet. And there's a breakdown of it. I'll drop that in there. And then you got to go see Page's quick dig on Robert Maxwell. We've dug on him before. She remembers the Maxwell family background, guys, and you need to look at it, guys. And this may be saving Israel for last. Don't give up hope. Just keep following. It's the economy that we need to focus on right now. That's how we win the 2026 election, not arresting anybody.
He's wringing them out like a sponge. Whenever he got to them, they were a sponge full of water, and you're currently seeing him wring them out, including Tucker Carlson, Alex Jones, General Flynn, this whole group of idiots out there on social media. They're all going to lose. Donald Trump sat there. If he had any contention with Pam Bondi, you would see it in their relationship right there at that table, what we just watched. That is not what you saw whatsoever. You saw compatibility. You saw coherence. You saw a teamwork effort working together between the secretaries and explaining things to you. There's not a contentious relationship like it was there with Bill Barr and Jeff Sessions and all the other people. Those were contentious relationships.
Yeah. And it's going to be biblical, guys. It really is.
Sure is. Let's do it.
So I'm going to get out of here with a cool rendition of the U.S. national anthem. and the Star Spangled Banner with Black Hold Sun. And we're going to get out of here. Shady Grove, we'll see you tomorrow. We went overtime today. Thank you for the overtime tips. We appreciate you guys. We wouldn't be here without you. Shady.
God bless America. I'm so glad everybody had a wonderful 4th of July. And Shady found a fan in the wild.
Yeah.
What a wonderful day.
What are the odds of that?
I don't know.
See you guys.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
www.mg.show. Boom.